Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing okay. I won't say fantastically well, but I hope you're doing okay. We're back here with your full-time show. This is a show that we do after the automatic race. It's a bit of a discussion alongside the run-in, and we preview a lot of things throughout the week, and we discuss the teams that are in and around Leeds United, and it's pretty much done now. Southampton have played, Ipswich have played, Leicester have played. And obviously, Leeds United played. The interesting part of this discussion really now is that, of course, Leeds are going to play a few times, before Ipswich obviously have that final game of the season, or their next game, I should say, against Hull City. So, yeah, Leeds back in action a little bit sooner. And is that going to be an advantage? You'd feel it maybe would be. Sheffield United. I always, you sort of hark back to that race that Leeds and Sheffield United had on. It felt like Leeds had that little bit of extra pressure. But yeah, listen, awful day when it comes to Leeds. But Friday night, obviously Leicester losing 1-0, and today Ipswich drawing 1-1 with Middlesbrough. The worst thing is, and this could work for all the sides, it could work for every single side in this discussion. They could have absolutely pulled away. We could have got automatic promotion, signed, sealed, and delivered this week by literally getting 6 points out of Blackburn and Sunderland. That's how mad this has been right now. Ipswich have got 1 point in 3. Leicester have fallen off a little bit of a cliff. Leeds have gone from first in the form table, according to SofaScore, which you can click in the link below. Everybody gives you all the detailed sort of quantitative data that backs up. It's really interesting, actually, in the promotion race. I definitely request that, go and click that. With the One Leeds affiliate link, you get a few bonuses as well. But obviously now it means that, Ipswich, Leeds and Leicester have all sort of fallen off a little bit, and it has opened the door for Southampton, which is quite staggering, quite unbelievable when they were done. Easter weekend crippled Southampton with their results. Obviously a draw and a loss, and that almost just seems normality now for Ipswich, for Leeds in particular, and obviously Leicester. Leeds have now we've gone from first in the form table. I believe Ipswich still occupy first in the form table when taking into consideration the last 5. But Leeds have gone from first to 17th, which is mental. When you look at the season with how good Leeds United have been, how consistent Leeds United have been, as I've mentioned previously, 9 wins on the bounce, which has not been done since 1931 by the club, and that's when Frankenstein was being set out in cinemas. It's unbelievable when you look at it that way. Never been done in Leeds United's recent history, that sort of run. And now it feels like the running, and we're going to talk about obviously what's happened this afternoon, but it feels like the running going forward. And we're going to be doing a lot of this in the next week. Everybody stay tuned to One Leeds in the Patreon. We've just put a video up there now, so go check that out. You can cancel whenever you want, link in the description below. But it feels right now that Leeds, I'm struggling with almost as getting a win. And that's sort of how I'm looking at it right now. Shout out to Timbo, who's just joined as a YouTube member. You can do so just by hitting the join button. Shout out to you, Tim Boy. But yeah, it just feels like a win is so far away at the minute. I think we are just struggling almost for any sort of creative spark. We look like we're struggling in terms of shooting, in terms of effectiveness, what to do, how to do it. And then, as I've mentioned previously in the stream, you look to the manager, and the manager is making poor decisions, in my opinion. So it's a concoction of things which aren't working at the minute. And the only crumb of comfort that we can find is that other teams are faltering with us as well. I think, when you look at the promotion complexion now, Southampton are right back in it, which is a real shame, because it amps up the last day of the season. Now, I know Southampton wouldn't have got away with a win. They've got a good win today. I mean, they scored in about 111th minute. There was controversy with the third goal, but they've scored. It's perfect time. Obviously, they beat Coventry. And are Southampton going to genuinely go into this playoff race, or even the latter part of this season? Literally, could Russell Martin turn this around? Could they turn this around because of us three? And could they still win the league, which is mental? But they could still do it. They could still do it. You look at their running, they are more than capable of doing it. And right now, as a Leeds United fan, I do not want to be playing Southampton. Crying out loud, I don't want to be playing QPR. QPR have lost 3-0 today. But Blackburn lost 5-0 before playing us. So Huddersfield went and beat Watford just before we played Watford. It just seems at this moment in time that we are struggling against everyone. And it feels like it's more of a mentality thing. Ipswich look to be struggling as well. I was looking at a couple of the highlights, and I was reading up on SofaScore as well. The chances, it seemed like Borough, if it wasn't for Vladke and net, Borough could have had a real chance. I think Isaiah Jones went through on goal, point blank saved by the Ipswich keeper. They had two massive chances. Did Middlesbrough. You look at the second half as well. I think Borough had 5 shots. I think Ipswich had 1 or 2. So Borough were right in that game, and they could have won it. So this complexion now, with what we're discussing, is Leeds have got wish we had Ipswich right now, but we've got obviously QPR, who are going to be scrapping for their lives. Didn't go for them today, but that almost gives you a sort of like favour against Leeds, I feel. And then we've got Middlesbrough away, which I think right now is probably the worst game that we could have right now. It's a derby, and they love it. They love playing Leeds and beating Leeds. We all know that. I don't. It's more of a regional derby, isn't it? I don't think we see it as that, but they don't like us. That's evidently clear, abundantly clear, I should say. We've got to go up there. They've sort of turned that home form around up there. They've got a decent run of form. They've taken points off Southampton, off Ipswich, away from home, and throughout this season. They were good at Ellen Road. They were unlucky. And it just feels right now that we're overthinking everything. And when you're overthinking everything, that's a real problem. And you look at Ipswich's running. Ipswich have got Hull, who won today, really comprehensively. I think it was 2 or 3-0. That's not going to be easy away from home. Coventry away from home as well, who want to be going into, Norwich have won today, again, beating Preston away from home. So is that going to affect Coventry a little bit when it comes to, obviously, their playoff race? It might look like it does, to be honest with you. That's pretty much, I think, sewn up by Norwich now. Is that going to affect? And it's not been too negative and pessimistic, but Hull are now out of it. Coventry are now out of it, and they're Ipswich's next 2 games. So is that really going to play into Leeds' favour? I mean, there's an argument right now that Middlesbrough are out of it as well. But does that local derby thing give them that little bit of edge? I will give it to Leeds. It probably does. It's those things that can't be measured. But unfortunately, it's something that weighs up against probably Leeds. The fact that Middlesbrough just hate us. Hull and Coventry are out of it, really, now, I think. I think it's, especially after Norwich's win today, I think Norwich have secured 6th. So how does that play out with Hull and Coventry? Are they going to be as on the boil as Ipswich? Ipswich have still got something to play for. They don't have anything to play for. Borough don't have anything to play for but the pride, and they don't like us. So hopefully they're going to end the season strong in Coventry and Hull, and that's all we can hope for right now, because it seems that Ipswich, out of the 3 right now, it feels like Leicester are also, brimming with problems. Leeds are brimming with serious problems, and it feels like Ipswich are probably just going to stutter over the line. I look at their last game of the season, and I look at Huddersfield, and I think no game's easy now, but I just don't know if Huddersfield have real any real quality whatsoever to be able to cause them problems, to be able to cause Ipswich problems on the last day of the season. And I look at that fixture running, and I think we've got Southampton on the last day of the season. And honestly, I just look at QPR and I look at Middlesbrough, and I know what's happened to QPR today. But we've got to almost change how we play. I think, styles in these 2 games, you've almost got to change how you play. Sit back and hit them on the counter. Sit back and hit them on the counter, because dominating possession, having that ethos, and having all the possession and teams just sitting back against it, just like the other team have the ball, see what happens. There's plenty of times in Farke's debut season where Norwich would counter-attack on teams as well. That would happen. So maybe that's how Leeds go into this game, and just we try and hit teams on the counter-attack. But by God, something's got to change. Personnel's got to change. He's got to start Matteo Joseph. Perot, sluggish, did nothing today to give us any sort of give Farke any vindication for starting him. So he should, if anything, be narked off with Perot and look at himself, because he's not started a guy who, when he's come on, he's given, Farke a reason to start him again. Chelsea, 2 goals against, some of the best players in world football. Start him in the next game. No, he doesn't do it. Drops him for the entire 90. So now he's got to learn from his mistakes. And now the problem is he's in a big predicament, Daniel Farke, because he's changed it. He's changed it up so much in terms of personnel. 3 changes today. He's changed it up so much that really he can't be changing it too much again. But if he goes back to what we know he's going to do, and if he goes back to, I think he's going to take Perot out. If he takes Perot out, puts Bamford back in, I would go as far to say it's pretty much done. Unless we get something magic, really, from Somerville and Nonto. But then we don't know what, Somerville is off colour at the minute. I think Rutter is still suffering from that injury, that surgery that he had. I don't think he's been the same since. And Somerville, we have the option to maybe utilise a Jaden Anthony there. But I don't know, is there an option to maybe utilise Joe Gelhardt as well? We know he's brilliant in those tight spaces. Joel Perot is a 10, and then Joseph ahead of him. Willie Gnonto in that inverted role. But when we're looking at these other teams right now, Leicester have got 4 games left, and I do look at it like that because they've got an extra chance. They've got an extra chance to get those 3 points or a point over on Leeds United. And I just see right now Ipswich is just stumbling over the line. And who knows, the outside chance could be Southampton. But right now, Leeds United are giving me nothing. No hope whatsoever. It was better today in terms of intensity, but the manager's changes are still problematic. The players' confidence and form is being rewarded by the manager, but the confidence and form is also not helping Leeds. There is no player that is putting his head above the parapet and in terms of taking this team and dragging it forward. So let's have a quick look at some of your comments, everybody. Shout out to Timmy Leeds. Thanks for your donation, buddy. At some point, does Farke deserve someone like, I don't know, a £16 million signing to find the bottom corner from the edge of the box out of nothing? And Timmy, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, mate, when it comes to, shout out Tim as well, who's become a member. I mentioned that. Shout out to you, buddy. And you're right. You are ultimately right. The players need to deliver on the pitch as well. The players need to deliver on the pitch, and I don't think you're wrong. But where I do think ultimately a lot of the flack needs to be, the reason it holds with Daniel Farke, and maybe it holds with Enzo Maresca, and it holds with Russell Martin at points this season when we've been discussing things on the full-time show, is they've not done things at the right time. They've not done things at the right time. McKenna has been doing things at the right time, in my opinion, a little bit better than the rest. But McKenna's side, there's an argument that it's not got the calibre of the other 3. And you would feel that Leeds, Leicester and Southampton have the sustenance to outlast Ipswich when it comes to the quality in our sides and the depth in our sides. But you've also got to have the man at the helm who is utilising that rotation, right? Who's utilising that rotation, getting the best out of these players and the players on the bench, utilising a top bench at this level. So if we just have a quick look at Ipswich Town's fixtures, that's what I'm going to have a quick look at here. Because I think you guys will probably enjoy the graphic a little bit and just having a quick look at it. So we'll do this right now and let me know what you think. How do you think it's going to pan out? This is what we're looking at now when it comes to Ipswich. We just blow this up and their fixtures going forward. Obviously, they're first now with what's happened, which is it's a pretty nice point to go first. Excuse me. With 3 games to go, but obviously Hull away, and I've mentioned this previously, Hull obviously got the win today, but you do wonder when you just look at the championship table now. You just have a quick look at Hull here in 7th. They've still got a game in hand, which could take them to 68 points, so they're not completely out of it. Then you look at Coventry here and Middlesbrough here. Are they completely out of it? I don't think so. Middlesbrough not beaten in 5 here. They've got the best form, obviously, of that 3. Middlesbrough, the form side in the championship at this moment in time. So, you look at these 3, and these 3 have got big parts to play. Norwich obviously beating Preston, which was massive today, 1-0 away from home. I think it's pretty solidified in terms of Norwich. But, Hull and Coventry, when you look at that next game, realistically, to be fair, and it being Ipswich's next game in terms of Hull City and then Coventry. Coventry could be out of it by then, but Mark Robbins won't let them slack off. And then when you look at the bottom of the table, obviously Huddersfield, this could be massive as well, fighting at the bottom of the table. 22nd, I've said that these teams become really decent teams at this point in the season. They've obviously got Swansea, their home game, massive. Then they've got Birmingham. And so Huddersfield have a really good chance of getting out of it here. A good result for them today, not so good midweek. So that could still be a tricky game, obviously, for the Tractor Boys. So then if we just go and have a look at Southampton's as well, this is always interesting. Let's have a quick look at this. Southampton fixtures, because they're right in it now. Look at that, 5 games left. Obviously, they had the fire near St Mary's, which sort of affected them. So Preston at home, you'd expect a bit of a win there, wouldn't you? Which is going to joust them up. But Preston in 10th, not a bad side, but I think Southampton might get that one. Cardiff away is never going to be easy. Big one here. Huge game here for us. And now I don't really know what I want there. I'll be honest with you. If they're able to get these 2 wins, I don't really know what I want there. Which is mental, because they're right back in it. If they get these 2 wins, they're right back in it, especially with the form of the rest. Not a bad game there either, and a tough game at the end of the season. But Southampton are right in it, aren't they? If we're being brutally honest. And then we'll have a look at Leicester's. I sort of know these off by heart anyway, to be quite honest with you. But we'll just get these on board. And obviously these are tough games for Leicester. Really tough games. West Brom at home, they've not had a good run either. Look, 2 consecutive losses, a narrow win against Birmingham as well. They've not scored in 2, like Leeds. But yeah, West Brom at home, Southampton at home as well. 2 really tricky games there. Preston away is not going to be easy at all. But you wonder how much their foot is on the gas. 10th place finish. It's not going to be a walkover. And then Blackburn, but I honestly expect Leicester to get a result there. As I said, Blackburn, one of the worst records in the division right now. They've only conceded. There's only one team in the division who've conceded less. The game before Leeds United, they lost 5-0. So, and then we obviously look at Leeds United, which I think is an important one to have a quick look at as well. Obviously, we know, oh God, painful, really, really painful. But then we just have a quick look at us, Borough, which, oh God, I'm just not looking forward. I'm just not looking forward to that at all. Borough. Obviously, you look at our last 5, 1 win in 5 since the international break. Before that, it was all beautiful, wasn't it? A little bit of a slip up there, but before that, it was all rosy. Look at all this, fantastic. And then since then, it's just been defeat, draw. And look at the goals we're conceding as well. It's another goal today. We've kept 1 clean sheet in 5. And then we've got QPR to go to. If we just look at where QPR are as well, 19th in the division. You'd say that they were safe now, but it's only 3 points. So they'll need that win, in a probably similar run of form to Leeds there as well. And then obviously Southampton. These are, I think I do look at those games for Leeds right now, and I actually think out of us and Ipswich, we've got the tougher running. I'll be honest with you guys. But maybe I don't know. I guess QPR you can compare to Huddersfield. For Ipswich, obviously Ipswich have got Huddersfield last day of the season, but that is away from home for us, which I think is the difficult one. Notoriously not got a good record down there. That is just a nightmare game right now. These 2 are nightmare games for Leeds. Nightmare. Now, can we get through it? Can we get through it? Of course we can. But there needs to be not just an increase in quality, but a significant level up. And can Daniel Farke do that now? He's got the personnel. But there's got to be a serious change right now. And I think we're all deflated, already deflated after today. I know there's only been really a point swing with Ipswich, but Southampton are right back in it now, which isn't good. It's never good when we all thought, all 3 clubs thought they were out of it. But the last 3 game weeks have meant that they're right back in it now. 2 wins and they're on the same points as Leeds, which is ridiculous. They're on 81 points right now. They win 2 of those, games that they've got in hand. They're back on level points with us, and then it's a shootout towards the end of the season, which is mental and scary because they're in form right now. Obviously, dispatching of Coventry as well. So let's get into a couple of your comments, everyone. Keep getting them in. Arthur says we've bottled it. Do all of you guys think the same thing? Do you think we've just bottled it now? I'm going to get into some members' comments as well. Obviously, you guys, if you want to become a member, you can hit the join button, but let me know what you think. Louis says, I know we're all downbeat and aren't playing well, but just look at Leicester. Their fans are fully turned on Maresca. I think it's interesting, Louis, because I'm not saying people have turned on Farke, but I think if you don't question Daniel Farke right now, you're deluded. And when I say question him, I don't mean question him as an individual, but I mean question some of his decisions. This is from a guy who I've not got an agenda. because I've been praising and criticising what he's been doing the whole season. But I cannot fathom some of his choices post the international break. I really can't, you know. And then there are people in the comment section who said, well, Connie, you don't know about the injury status. Well, we kind of do because he clarifies it pre and post game. But okay, if that is another thing, we'll utilise different players. Somerville's got a knock, use Anthony. Nonto's got a knock, use Anthony. You know, you got a player there who I think is pretty decent when he comes on. Put 3 balls into the box right on a dime when he came on for 4 minutes. And also, I reckon he'd be quite decent for set pieces because he used to take them for Bournemouth, corners in particular. But we don't utilise that. We don't try and improve the corner situation. I've watched his press conference thoughts again, and I'm sick of hearing him talk about set pieces. We've had 30 in the past 2 matches. Well, what are you doing on the training field, mate? Because nothing's changing. So why don't you try do some things in training or try select certain personnel who are going to aid us when it comes to set piece situations and are not going to hinder us overall when it comes to the complexion of the side. Cresswell, maybe, at points in the game for a little bit of ferocity when it comes to set pieces, backed up by what he did at Millwall with Jake Cooper when they were just an assault. They were a huge problem for teams when it came to set pieces. What about Jaden Anthony at points if Somerville's having issues right now? You know, and I know it's at that point in the season where you can't be cutting and changing, but everybody, right now, what have we got to lose? I've got automatic promotion, which is still there within a point. And if we stick with what we have right now, who came in today? I thought Gruev was one of his best performances in a Leeds United shirt. I thought it was excellent, didn't deserve to be taken off. Nonso, I thought, was the most effective player on the pitch. Roberts, I thought, was very decent when he was on the pitch and saved us from an early Sammy Schmodic's goal. You got to think in that game, what did we do? Nonso strike from outside the box a couple of times, left foot and then right foot, first and second half. Then what? Schmodic's had one cleared off the line. They had a counter-attack where they nearly scored. Melee threw it to their winger and they nearly got another opportunity there. Classic Melee. And then the Sammy Schmodic's goal. They had more. The XG reflects it in Leeds' favour, naturally. But in my opinion, they had the bigger chances. What did we really do? We didn't really do anything. And when there was a big chance, it fell to you-know-who, and he ballooned it over, which any other striker would absolutely gobble up and love that opportunity. Ball whipped in, got pace on it, and just hits his arm and goes over. But then Farke continues to reward Patrick Bamford for whatever reason. So it's not an agenda against Pat Bamford, but he's got the ability to rotate with the squad that he's got, which we won't have next year, by the way, in the Championship. If we are in the Championship, he's not going to have anything near that quality squad. So then his coaching is really, really going to be tested. It's going to be a much more mediocre squad than what we have this year. The accounts back that up, because we're going to have to sell big time for a lower value. And I'm not saying this will happen, but when he has the squad that he has, and he's not getting the best out of it, he has the ability right now, which a lot of Championship sides don't have. Blackburn don't have that. Sunderland don't really have that. Coventry don't really have that. Teams like that don't really have that. We have the ability because of our financial might at this level and parachute payments, and the fact that we've been able to keep Jorginho, Rutter, Crysencio, Somerville, Willian Yonto, get players like Jaden Anthony, Yoel Perot in. We have the ability to rotate, but rotate with quality. But it's not all just Daniel Farke as well. When he's given opportunities to players like Willian Yonto, like Yoel Perot, like Con Roberts, they've got to step up. Who does it? Con Roberts, who's given a team talk at the start of the bloody game, which I think speaks volumes about who the leaders are in the team and why you've got a player who's not even started, really, and he's giving the team talk. You've got Willian Yonto, who's the best defensive player on the pitch, who we all knew that would happen with. And then you've got Yoel Perot, who stank the gaff out again. I'm telling you, people behind the scenes will be looking at that thinking, what have we bought there? Because we bought a guy who got the ball on the edge of the area and would almost utilize it as like a marksman, a number 10 or a number 9. And he scored 12 goals this season. So statistically, people might turn around and go, that's a good return. But if he was that decent, he'd be playing every week, and he's not. He's barely getting minutes. And I know we criticise Daniel Farke's selection, but at least when you get Nonso coming on, at least when you get Roberts coming on, I think at least when you get Anthony coming on, at least when you get these players coming on, they're making an impact now. You know, we're not just sort of stat padding at the start of the season when Leeds United are doing really well. You know, these players, when they're coming in, they're making an impact. I don't think your pro's done enough. I don't think he's doing enough, you know? So a lot to take into consideration, a hell of a lot. Dear me. It's over. Jay says, I don't think we've bottled it. We've just gone off the ball at the wrong time. Still think we'll get top two, but we have to get something out of the Borough game, which won't be easy. I think it has to be 3 points out of the Borough game, to be honest, mate. Keep getting your comments in. Tim says, Robertson and Nonto were the two non-predictable players. That's it, Tim. And I think you're right as well. I think all teams are struggling. Like, and that's why we do this full-time show. It's all of them. Leicester are struggling probably with predictability. Southampton are coming through at the right time and are not a team you'd want to face right now. Unfortunately, we have to face them, but we've given ourselves that problem because we've got 1 point out of Sunderland and Blackburn at home. We've lost our home record against a team who are shambolic, and we've lost our home record against them, which I still can't get my head around. But we've got to turn this around. We have no choice. We have no choice. We've got the playoffs confirmed, but do we all really want to go through that again? And right now, I'm terrified of the playoffs because I think right now we go into the playoffs, we don't even get through to the final. We're all being real. We don't even get through to the final because at this moment, this team is struggling against Blackburn, Sunderland, Hull, Coventry, teams of that ilk. Some of those teams are in and around the playoffs. So if we're struggling against them, imagine if we come up against West Brom, who've taken 4 points off us, Southampton, who've already taken 3 points off us this season, and then you Norwich, who have improved a hell of a lot. And we saw that at Ellen Road last time out. It's not going to be the same as what it was at the start of the beginning when Wagner and Farke met each other. It's going to be a very different game. So we need a lot when it comes to confidence boosting right now. IPW says, too angry to talk. Farke did the changes, but the team seems to have forgotten what the goal looks like. Louis says, half the team today were playing the slow possession build-up game and half were trying to speed the game up. No coordination with how we're playing. Jay said it earlier, pal. If our players aren't up to the races, we create nothing. Crete and Georgia both poor today. We lack a bit of football IQ. Yeah, we do, mate. Lee says, bet your bottom dollar we still have Bam for next season. Cheers, Lee. Thanks for the donation, buddy. Yeah, Lee, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. This guy, I don't know. I don't know what he has over Marsh, over Bielsa. Bielsa got obviously the best out of him. Allardyce, Grazia. I don't get it. I don't understand. At least with Grazia and Allardyce and Marsh, you had the option of Rodrigo, but then Farke has the option of Joseph. So, yeah, I don't know what more Matty O needs to do. And then he puts him on for 9 minutes. Can that be good for a youngster's development? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe sell Pro back to Swansea. Leeds seemed totally unable to break down a defence. A counter goal was available. Matty says it's playoff for us, pal. Too many missed opportunities now. Going to be much worse next season if we're in the Championship as well. Yeah, I agree. You're forgetting one thing, Connor. In playoffs, there won't be low ball. I don't know, Paul. I don't know. I mean, West Brom have definitely utilised low blocks against us. I felt when Norwich kept Ellen Road recently, they utilised a bit of a low mid block against us. They'll definitely come to Ellen Road and replicate what Sunderland and Coventry have done against us. Of course they will, mate. And there's an argument they do that at home. Let Leeds have the ball, sit in a low block, and hit them at home and away. Why would you come out against Leeds and play football when you can beat Leeds by sitting in the low blocks? We can't figure it out, and the manager's substitutions are too late. Statistically, Daniel Farke has let Leeds United substitutions onto the pitch. I think it's now less than any other manager. So he's not going to make changes until it's too late. You sit in a low block, frustrate Leeds at your gaff. You might be a little bit more adventurous at your gaff, but away from home, why would you deviate and not sit in a low block? If I'm a manager, I'm sitting in a low block, getting the crowd frustrated, time wasting. That's what I'm doing. Probably booting the ball out for a corner because Leeds don't utilise corners or set pieces. And then just like Paul, I think you're very naive with that, mate. Teams you're gonna get QPR doing the same thing. You'll get Borough doing the same thing. It's like, have the ball. Let Leeds have the ball. Because they've shown since the international break that they can't do anything if we sit in a low block. Every team sat in a low block. We beat Hull after Watford, and it was very fortuitous. Fortuitous, we all know that, because the whole right back decided to dive in on Somerville when he was going nowhere, and that changed everything. Hull was steady away for a point, you know. So no, mate, I completely disagree. I think teams will sit in against Leeds and will continue to do that. And you know, you've got a lot of teams that are going to be in and around those playoffs who see Leeds' weaknesses. If you're to go toe to toe with Leeds right now and just play football with Leeds, why would you do it? Why would you do it? I reckon if McKenna had another shot at playing Leeds, he'd probably sit in a mid to low block, because playing football against Leeds, he's conceded 8. And that's when we were in the pomp, to be fair. But yeah, most deflated I've seen you, Connor, since we were relegated. Ryan, I'm not like completely done. Well, I'm not completely done, because, you know, with the channel, I want to keep it live, and I want to keep it positive, and it's only we're not out of it. We are not out of it, and that is the overall message. But maybe, like, I don't think I'm seeing this with a lot of other content creators. My finger's been pointed at the manager heavily, and I was happy with some of the changes today. Obviously, Nonto was starting. Nonto's pretty much my favourite player. I love Willie Nonto. I think he's a brilliant footballer. I think he's a Premier League player. And you guys know throughout the season, even when James has been doing well, I've wanted Nonto in because he's better in tight spaces, and he's better across that front line. Left, central, or right, you can give Leeds a lot more than Dan James can. So I love Nonto being in there. I love Connor Roberts' leadership. I think his experience can be vital. But then out of nowhere, someone told me, and I put it out on Twitter, someone told me Perot was starting. I couldn't believe it. So I didn't mind Perot coming in, because I thought at least Bamford's out the side. So overall, I was happy. I really was. I was happy. But I was still thinking to myself, and I was starting the group chat, what can Joseph do? What can he do? What can he do? And then it's not just the start of the game, it's the in-game management that worries me about this guy. The tempo of Leeds United. What does he say to them at half-time? That continuously makes us come out from one half the exact same as the next. And then he feels like he should make changes on around the 65th minute, but he's giving himself no chance. So I worry more about the manager. I know we are where we are, everybody. We've broken some incredible records this season, of course. You've got to put your trust in him for the remainder of the season. However, I do worry about him, because I'm worried about the here and now. I'm worried about post-international break. I'm worried about Leeds being 17th in the form table going into the business end of the season. All the stuff before that's brilliant. That's great. Fantastic for credentials. Fantastic for records. Fantastic for Farke's CV. He keeps going on about the home record. Keeps going on about he used to be a striker and how all he does is improve strikers. He keeps going on about at Norwich, this is when they came into their own, and how he's made for this part of the season. Well, let's see it then, fella. Because right now I'm seeing a depreciation in our strikers. I'm not seeing us gather any form towards the back end of the season. And I'm not really seeing any sort of mentality strength when it comes to our entire squad. And I'm seeing, if anything, a negative impact on all of the team right now. So it's up to you to improve those incremental fine margins when it comes to set pieces, when it comes to the timing of your substitutions. I think he's got to have a long look in the mirror. I don't know if he holds himself to account. I never get that feeling in his post-match thoughts. I watch his post-match thoughts, and I'm as confused as I was at the start of the post-match video. I don't feel like he ever sort of constructively looks at it. When I flash my mind back to Marcelo Bielsa used to almost take umbrage with himself. He used to take real negative feelings from if he got something wrong. If he started in Nketiah over Bamford and it didn't work, it was always the big one. You know, if Jack Harrison wasn't performing well, he came out and blamed himself. I don't ever see any accountability from Daniel Farke, ever. We're dominant in every respect. We've had 30 crosses. This is where I come into my own when it comes to the season. If I didn't, Joseph, if I'd have put him on for 40 minutes, he might not have scored. He was saying stuff like that the other day, and it's like, well, yeah, but at least try it. At least try it, mate. Well, who knows what happens? I might put Anthony on for 20 minutes as opposed to 2 minutes, and there might not be a difference. Well, yeah, but try it. Try it, because it's not going right at the minute. So do something. Don't be putting up these weird hypotheticals where you put your own spin on it. So this is what I worry about with him a little bit. And it almost feels with Joseph right now, because there's no other logic applied to it. No other logic. It feels almost like he's trying to prove a point. And that's what worries me right now. So I look at a bunch of young players, a bunch of very, very young players, And I just think to myself, right now, mentally, are they dealing with it? Have they got the mental strength to deal with it? And can the manager get them through this period, of which is the toughest in Championship history, but the prize, the golden goose, is still there. So that's why I'm deflated right now. It's because I know we've got three tough games that we can win, but I'm worried that the manager right now, not in January, not in February, not in March, not in April, not when we broke these 9 wins, not prior to the international break, now, right now, can he get the best out of this lot, and can he turn the form from 1st to 17th, but then back up to one of the top 5 sides in the division again in the last 3 games? Can he do that? And right now, I'm looking at it and thinking they're out of ideas. Nothing's changing in terms of tempo, intensity, or anything like that. Set pieces are still woeful. Strikers are still getting rewarded with game time. Nothing's changing. So that's why I worry, mate. That's why I worry with it all, to be honest. So yeah, we'll have to figure it out. Jaguar says Farker won the champ twice, so he knows how to get out of it. Yeah, he does. Yeah, his man management is shocking, proving he's not a top manager. And I'm not saying, look, how are we done? Everyone has dropped points. Get behind the team, match on together is bollocks when you're only here when we. What are you on about, you weirdo? What are you on about? I'm here every game. When we win or lose, I also get to the game, then afterwards create content, and it takes me 7 hours. What are you talking about? We then make content for Patreon. This is all we do on this channel. I'm pretty much full time with this stuff. I'm more invested in Leeds United than you are, fella, because I'll still get to the games. It takes me 2.5 hours to get there, 2.5 hours to get back. Then I'll do content. I'll spend my hard-earned money doing, not only going and watching Leeds and spending money to get to Leeds, which I have done for most home games this season, then I get back and try create content, win, lose, or draw for you lot. So don't chat bollocks. Thank you very much. Marching on together indeed. Let's have a look. I'd be very worried with Farker in charge of the Premier League. Farker is risking our Premier League hopes right now. Can I just say, everybody, these are all of your opinions as well. It's not just me. It's all you. There's nearly 1,000 of you in the building, and you're all talking from the same chamber. You're all talking from the same hymn sheet. This isn't me. I'm saying my piece, but a lot of you are agreeing. There's 99% of you in the comment section who, if you are the 1%er and you disagree, that's fine. But don't come in here with all this notion of you're not Leeds if you disagree with all this sort of stuff. That is absolute bollocks. You can have an opposing opinion to someone who, you know, doesn't have your same opinion, and that can still mean you're a Leeds fan and you're supporting the club and you march on together. You know, I'm sick of the super fan stuff. We can all be marching on together, but we can have worries as well. You can be worried about something. You might not be worried about something. It is what it is. It's subjective. It's like having mates down at the pub. But don't come in here and say, you know, your opinion is almost better than the other person's opinion because you're just positively having this outlook that we're going to get promoted. That's not how it works. We all have, when people have anxiety about Leeds United, it's because we all care. I am a certain fan, but I bleed Leeds United. I love this club to my core. It completely ruins or makes my week, month, year. My life is Leeds United. So just because I think a certain way doesn't mean I'm not a super fan or I'm not a certain fan. And nobody in the comment section, just because they're amplifying worries and concerns right now, is lesser of a fan than you just because you're deemed positive. So keep getting your thoughts in. We just try. Everybody's thought is fine. Nobody's one up than the other. That's not how it is over here. Let's have a quick look. We are predictable FC at the moment. 1 goal in 3 matches. Is this Farker or the team? It's probably just both. It's probably just both, mate. But I think Farker is the lead of it, obviously. Connor Top Lad, the only content creator that speaks facts. MWI, mate. Thanks for that, buddy. I'm not sure about that, but Farker has another 3 years left on his contract. So let's hope he learns. Yeah, shout out to you. Let's have a look. Absolute bollocks t-shirt. Connor, I'll buy one. Yeah, I just think, football is about opinions, but don't always agree with what's. Jay's perfect. I've met Jay at the ground a fair few times, and I see Jay in the comments. Jay doesn't agree with what I say. So what? I'll still go and have a beer with Jay. If I see him, I'll still go have an orange squash if I'm driving, Jay. Do you know what I mean? We'll still sit there and like it says more about you as a person if you can't sit there and actually have a conversation with people, and you can have one opinion, another person can't have another different opinions. If you can't handle that, that's your problem, not the other person's. But you guys have been really, really good on this show. Really enjoyed it. I know you love the full-time stuff, but let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think is going to happen with the running? I'm fascinated to hear what you think. We're going to be back tomorrow with the 3 things. Head on over to Patreon for some bonus stuff. Merchandise, link in the description below, everybody. Fresh merch is over there. We're getting some new hats and beanies and all that sort of stuff delivered as well. We're going to do a giveaway as well. If you've already ordered from the link in the description below, you get a 10% off. Again, if you order through that site. So there you go. That's a little bonus, and we're going to be putting free things out as well, everybody. When it's calmed down a little bit. It's been an absolute pleasure, everybody. I'll see you on the other side.